I have the movement put together enough that the escapement can run now. And just for the fun of it, I decided to go ahead and wind it up and see what kind of performance I was getting out of it. If you remember, before I started working on this, I put it on the timegrapher, and the amplitude was extremely low. I forgot to write it down, but I believe it was only around 110 or 115 degrees of amplitude, which is exceptionally low. It needs to be generally between 250 and 300 is considered more normal. And so it was only about 110, 115 degrees of amplitude before I worked on it. And the escapement was running really slow too. It was losing about 5 minutes a day. So right now I've reassembled the escapement. Everything's lubricated and everything. The only thing I need to do now is put together the motion works and the keyless works so that I can put the hands and the dial back on. But right now the escapement's running, and you can see there's quite a bit of motion there. The wheel is turning. Everything's working. Let's see what the timegrapher says. And would you look at that? 301 degrees of amplitude. That is magnificent. That is the difference a good service does on a watch. The beat error is 2.2 milliseconds, which can be improved, but it's a lot better than it was before. I think it was around 5 or 6 milliseconds beat error before. And look at the rate. Before it was losing about 5 minutes a day. Right now it's gaining 234 seconds, which is it's gaining probably about 4 seconds a day or 4 minutes a day now. So it's running way too fast. But I can correct for that when I regulate it later. Now I'm not going to bother trying to regulate it right now. I'm going to wait until I put the motion works back in and put the hands back on, because having the weight of that stuff on there being driven is going to have some effect on the way the escapement runs. And plus I want to let it run for a few days just to let the lubricants distribute through it and make sure everything is working before I finally do the regulation. So I've got to wait a couple days for that part that I ordered because I misplaced a screw that I need. So one of the screws fell off on the floor somewhere and I can't find it, and I had to order another one for it. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to let it run for a couple days, and then once I get that screw, I'll put everything back together, and then we'll do the final regulation after that.
It's also very possible that the movement has gotten magnetized while I'm working on it. A magnetized movement will run very fast and can gain several minutes a day, and that may be causing this high rate that we're seeing. So before I do the final regulation, I'm going to demagnetize the movement, and I have a feeling that's going to drop the rate down to something much closer to where it should be. So it shouldn't require a lot of regulation once I do that.
But this is a huge improvement over what it was before.